Hello one and all, this is Ollie here at Visordown, crooning through your speakers with our latest top 10 video bulging with two-wheel goodness. Today we have something a little different for you. Don't worry, we can still count to 10. 1, 2, yep, we can still do that. But we are looking a little beyond the norm at some of the more discerning choices you can purchase today. We're talking quirky, oddball, different, not the obvious. Motorcycles that make you go, How do we define this list? Well, one person's quirky is another person's no-brainer, of course. But we have selected 10 here not because they are good, bad, or whatever, but because they are the any alternative to the normal Norman. And after all, who wants to be normal? The Honda XADV, or is it Cross Adventure? So even the name is tad confusing. The XADV is an ambitious off-road scooter, and the answer to a question we're not sure anyone has ever asked. And the most surprising thing about it is it comes from Honda, a firm often associated as being the more conventional choice, built on a reputation of exceptional engineering and a pleasant ownership experience. It is a machine you are as fascinated with as we are. In fact, the unveiling of the recently launched 2021 XADV was one of our most watched videos on here last year. The first generation has also been a sales success in Europe, and those that have taken the plunge have found a charming go-getter that deftly combines all the strengths of a nippy urban runabout with a remarkably capable off-road rock puncher. The latest generation has distinctive and well-judged rugged styling that stands out in the city while ducking and weaving through the city streets as confidently as a PCX would. You might consider this to be a scooter pretending to be an off-roader, like those SUVs that are all show but can only really scale the odd curb. However, in reality, this is an off-roader distilled into a scooter form, because Honda have gone to town to make the XADV remarkably capable in the rough stuff. The 745cc engine has enough in the lower end of the rev range to flatten some tough terrain. And though the long wheelbase presents more limitations, it feels controlled and capable. You won't find it at the top of a mountain, and at more than £10,000 it's not terribly cheap either, but it's loaded with kit and feels like a premium product. So if you spend your weekdays commuting and weekends getting your boots muddy, then Honda XADV is one of the best dual-purpose two-wheelers out there. Dripping with history, lavished in elegance, and exuding gallons of charm, MV Agusta may not always be the most logical choice for your head, but if you're more inclined to listen to your heart, then how could you possibly say no? Indeed, the launch of any new MV Agusta is a cause for great anticipation, and the firm really excelled itself with this, the Superveloce 800. Even the name is enough to conjure just the most exotic images. A cafe racer that is certainly more bistro and bubbles than greasy spoon and milky tea, the Superveloce 800 is evocative enough to park in your living room at night as a piece of art, with its conical nose and porthole central headlight harking back to the days of Giacomo Agostini. The Superveloce 800 is a romantic reimagining of a classic form that sits on the more elegant touring end of the scale rather than the sportier F3 on which it is based. But let's face it, you would buy the Superveloce 800 because it looks like this. Think of it as an F3 in a ball gown and you get the right idea. The Yamaha Niken, the motorcycle that is actually a tricycle but isn't a tricycle either. Confused? Okay, we could spend days arguing whether the Niken is a true motorcycle by the very definition of the term, but we have 6 other models to get through here, so we won't. With 3 wheels on its wagon, 2 at the front and 1 at the rear, the Niken is an interesting take on even the notion of a tricycle. Naturally, you don't need to worry about dropping it at a standstill, but Yamaha have adapted the front forks to allow it an impressive 45-degree lean angle, making it a curious thing to watch in motion. Pitched as a GT, the Niken is a tricity scooter that has been hitting the gym, taking all the supplements and posing for Instagram selfies. It's certainly divisive, but its strengths in stability, comfort and refinement can't be denied. You won't be getting your knee down easily, but if you ride a lot of miles pillion and you don't mind people looking at you or quizzing you in the pub, then you know what? Why not? If you were buying a motorcycle on pure charm alone, then the Royal Enfield Himalayan is a motorcycle you want to pinch the cheeks of and say, haven't you grown? The pint-size off-roader is arguably one of the most honest motorcycles you can buy. Its modest 411cc 24 brake horsepower engine is eager to get a little breathless, but is happy enough to get stuck into off-roading with mechanicals that, while not sophisticated, are hard-working. A recent update has given it more big boy features to keep up with more powerful competition, but the utilitarian styling remains intact, while the bargain basement price makes the Indian off-roader a genuinely interesting choice for those with only a modest budget at their disposal. It won't be scaling the Himalayas anytime soon, but you'll certainly have some fun trying. While not exactly quirky on their own, the KTM RC125 and 390 are somewhat quirky in relation to the Austrian firm's range. With the naked 1290 Super Duke R pitched as the powerful sports bike in KTM's range, and the RC8 long since departed, you need to get down to the lower end of the range if you want a KTM emblazoned on your fairing. Yes, it's showing its age right now, but if you're in the market for a zippy, nimble and distinctively styled little sports bike with KTM's DNA coursing through its veins, and you're partial to the colour orange, there is a lot to like here. A new generation, which has been spied several times, is at least now waiting in the wings. But we have said it once, actually we've said it quite a few times, and we'll say it again. Hey KTM, where's our RC1290? Don't make us beg. The Kawasaki Vulcan is indeed living long and prospering. Something for any Trekkies out there. In fact, the name has been in service since 1986, which makes us the same age, and is currently bestowed upon a 900cc version you can buy here in the UK, or a monster 1700cc version in the US, where it is popular because, well, you know, bigger is better out there. With its low seating position, chunky aesthetics, and in S-Guise a sporting edge, the Vulcan is very much a cruiser in a Kawasaki vein, and we're really rather taken with it. If your day job, or rather your night job, is as a ninja, then this is what you ride on your days off. If you happen to be an Italian watching this video, ciao, then don't shout at the screen. We know the Benelli 502 TRK is far from oddball or quirky if you live in Rome, Milan or Sicily. In fact, this year it is currently the best-selling motorcycle in Italy outright, with more TRKs leaving the showroom than even the BMW GS 1250. But in the UK you'd be hard-pressed to find one, and it's a shame because there's a lot going on for the TRK. On the lower end of the power and price scale for an off-roader, the 502 TRK is handsomely styled, though perhaps it's more sheepish in reality than the wolfiness of its attire. If you treat it as more of a tourer, then it has a lot more going for it, and besides, a new 800cc version of the TRK is incoming, if your heart is set on both the Benelli and the great outdoors. It's a Harley-Davidson, just don't call it a Harley-Davidson. This month sees the Livewire become the motorcycling equivalent of Range Rover, or Prince, in that it will drop the Harley-Davidson moniker and in essence become Livewire as its own brand. Think of it as the motorcycle formerly known as Harley-Davidson. An ambitious attempt by Harley-Davidson to commit to electric motorcycling way before any other mainstream manufacturer has even sat down to discuss the possibility of maybe developing something in the future. The Livewire may not have quite been the roaring or quiet success Harley had hoped for, but it is a fine machine in its own right, being rapid, economical and fizzing with ideas. We will have to wait and see what comes next for Livewire, the brand, but if you still want that Harley prestige without sticking two fingers up at nature, then move fast, because the badging is being prized off as we speak. Few motorcycle marques out there are as historic and storied as Moto Guzzi. In fact, it is currently celebrating its 100th birthday as a brand, so many happy returns. We're sure a birthday card from the Queen is in the post. While today it doesn't quite attract so much attention, it has branched out from its staple cruisers and tourers to add an adventure tourer in the form of this, the V85 TT. While the TT is a clue in the name as to Moto Guzzi's more road-orientated comfort zone, the V85 has been designed to hark back to the original Paris-Dakar Rally, with bulky bodywork, pointed beak and wire wheels. So at least you look like you could tackle some dunes in between the motorways. A more premium offering without losing the charm that comes with any motorcycle crafted by Italian minds, the Moto Guzzi B85 TT is a day traversing the island of Sardinia, distilled into motorcycling form. One could say Husqvarna has had something of an identity crisis in recent years, and not just because if you Google Husqvarna, the first thing that might come up is its chainsaw business. Actually, Husqvarna has been making motorcycles since 1903, but it is now in 2021 that it is really going from strength to strength. Having been brought under the wing of KTM in 2013, Sweden's only mainstream motorcycle manufacturer has ramped up its diversification, which began with the Vitspilen and Svartpilen. Meaning White Arrow and Black Arrow, they are distinctively styled retro roadsters that certainly stand out. Things are a little more conventional under the skin, with KTM providing the running gear for the 401 and 701cc models. They may be an acquired taste, but in our eyes, we love the blend of Scandi Noir distinction with some IKEA-style sensibility. Honda, Yamaha, and even KTM think just too much inside the box. Husqvarna is definitely a choice for those who like to think outside of it.